Hello, everyone, and good evening. I'm Don Arleth, and coming to you live from Warsaw, you're watching World News Tonight here on TVP World. 2025 will be a breakthrough year for the Polish economy. The latest GDP data has just been released, showing growth much higher than the average for the European Union. We'll have more on this in just a moment, but first up, let's take a look at the headlines. German lawmakers can't agree whether to seek a ban on far-right AfD. Greenlanders respond to Trump. They definitely don't want to be part of the United States. And the first child was born in Warsaw from government-funded in vitro fertilization program. In total, there are already over 9,000 pregnancies. A big bounce for the Polish economy, recording an estimated 2.9% GDP growth over the last calendar year. It comes as others in the region struggle to get their forecasts under control. And 2025 is expected to be a breakthrough year. Our chief political correspondent, Aaron Dahmen, reports.
In Poland, a pat on the back from the country's ex-finance minister.
I could say we are one of the stars in the European Union.
His words echoed by Prime Minister Donald Tusk.
This dream that Poland will be a growth leader in the European Union is already becoming a reality today. The foundation for this has been laid in recent months.
As countries across the continent face uphill economic battles, Poland has racked up an estimated 2.9% growth of GDP, that's gross domestic product, in the year 2024.
It's a good achievement this year, despite the fact that we have a slowdown in Germany, which is our main trading partner.
In fact, the figure is more than 2 percentage points above the EU average, with Croatia the only peer in Central and Eastern Europe to post a better result.
Obviously, it's above basically all forecasts, 0.1 or 0.2 percentage points above market consensus.
But Poland was not immune to the sluggish slowdown of investments in Europe.
If you look at the breakdown, it's clear that the thing that drove GDP growth this year was consumption, both private and public.
That consumption was largely spurred on by a bump to household incomes, including hikes in public sector wages. It comes as the price of food, non-alcoholic drinks and housing goes up, while transport becomes cheaper. In the year ahead, the picture will change again, with Poland expecting a souped-up return of investments and billions in EU recovery funds.
We are actually a bit even more optimistic than consensus. For us, there's a good chance that Polish economy will grow by 4% this year.
The Polish government has similar projections, while others like the International Monetary Fund or IMF are staying more conservative. As for Prime Minister Tusk, his expectation is crystal clear.
2025 will be the year of breakthrough, the year of the breakthrough in the Polish economy, the year of the breakthrough in terms of the competitiveness of the Polish economy, the year of the breakthrough in terms of real, powerful, huge investments in our security and in our competitiveness.
An optimistic tone as the economy battles global headwinds.
Freezing aid has big consequences. President Donald Trump's decision to halt development assistance presents major difficulties to Ukrainian communities already exhausted by 3 years of war. President Zelensky instructed that certain key initiatives be financed through domestic resources and European partners be engaged in additional discussions. We're now moving to Kyiv, where our correspondent Oz Chatterjee is reporting. Good evening, Oz. So how will Ukraine cope without American support?
Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky put out a statement late on Wednesday night acknowledging that the U.S. Donald Trump decision to suspend foreign aid programs for 90 days has had an impact on Ukrainian programs. The president said that he would seek domestic sources to fund the shortfall as it were, but also European sources appealing to allies to step in to fill that gap. Now, it's unclear what happens beyond that 90-day freeze, but military aid is not currently included in this freeze. So let's take a listen to what Zelensky had to say in his statement.
Today, there was an initial report from government officials and the team at the office, Oleksiy Kuleba and Viktor Mitika, regarding critically important programs that are currently suspended that were previously funded with American support. I've already instructed some key actions to be carried out using our domestic funds, as well as discussions with Europeans. For energy, there were programs on distributed generation and other sustainability programs for Ukrainian communities, cities, and villages. We are all working on all of this. I've also instructed the continued audit of suspended U.S. aid areas, specifically in humanitarian, security, and social fields, where there should be more of our own and European activity. While the new American policy is being developed, we need to support our side.
Now, the energy sector is also going to be a major concern of the US providing support to Ukraine in trying to stabilize their energy sector under continuous Russian bombardment. Now, elsewhere in Ukraine, in Sumy, a multi-story building was hit by a Russian Shahed drone, killing 9 people and injuring 13. President Zelensky's already put out a statement wishing condolences to the family. So another dark day for the Ukrainians in Sumy here. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Oz Chatterjee reporting there from Kyiv. Thank you very much for the update. A ban on the far right. Now to Germany, where 124 members of parliament from various political parties have proposed a ban on the far right AfD. A debate about the ban was held in the German Bundestag. Some critics say that the plan may be premature. Sasha Farbach reports.
As Germany gears up for elections next month, emotions are running high. From the streets of Berlin to the heart of the German parliament. At the center of today's debate is the thorny issue of what to do with the AfD. The far-right party gained momentum recently by voting alongside conservatives on a stricter migration proposal, sparking protests and deepening political tensions in Germany.
The impact is pretty huge. You could see the public uproar, the protests in front of the German parliament, in front of the Bundestag, happening as we speak. And actually, it will probably mobilize a lot of voters, especially on the more progressive side.
The man who's being blamed for the AfD's success after Wednesday's vote is Friedrich Merz, the Conservative Party leader, seen as the favorite to be the next Chancellor of Germany. Yet he has vigorously defended himself, even after being criticized on Thursday by former leader and Chancellor Angela Merkel.
There is no cooperation between the CDU-CSU and the AfD, and AfD people can now triumph all they want. This will not happen. I want us to solve the problems and for this party to become smaller again, not bigger. What the coalition has done in the last 3 years has led to the AfD now being above 20%, and I am not prepared to accept that.
A ban comes at a difficult time and is neither an easy nor a fast process. Only 3 institutions, the lower house and upper house of Germany's parliament, and the federal government itself may launch such an effort. Ultimately, it's up to the final decision of the Constitutional Court whether a ban is deemed constitutional and in line with German law.
Parties that, by reason of their aims or the behavior of their adherents, seek to undermine or abolish the free democratic basic order or to endanger the existence of the Federal Republic of Germany shall be unconstitutional.
This isn't the first time a ban has been attempted against a far-right party. In 2017, after years of judicial process, another far-right party, the NPD, also deemed dangerous, was ultimately not seen as unconstitutional. Nevertheless, some experts see the AfD as a concerning force for Germany, which may satisfy the strict requirements of a ban.
The AfD actually differs from most European right-wing parties in that it hasn't become more moderate over time, but it has actually radicalized.
A ban now is seen as a political move, which may garner more votes to the radical party before elections. Germany's post-war political system was designed to keep fringe extremist parties out of government. However, the momentum of the party may increase over time.
Eventually, when the far right will receive more than 30%, for example, then it's game over. Yes, then finally it will be too hard for the mainstream coalition parties to form stable governments, as happened in Austria, for example, and therefore AfD will come into power within the time framework of 10 years.
Banning a political party is a sensitive and a long judicial process in Germany. It is highly likely that any decision regarding the ban would take place only once the dust has settled after the elections. Sascha Farbach, TVP World.
A resounding no to President Trump. A whopping 85% of Greenlanders don't want to become part of the United States. That's according to the latest opinion poll commissioned by Danish media. The poll is a response to U.S. President Donald Trump and his aspirations to purchase or otherwise acquire the Arctic island. But will he succeed? Kazimierz Wysiak and Sophie Nielsen have this report.
Contrary to its name, Greenland is famously one of the coldest places on Earth. Despite its snowy ecosystem, this Arctic island has become one of the hottest topics of political discussions, all because of a rather surprising aspiration of US President Donald Trump.
We need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time.
But Greenlanders don't seem sold on the idea. In the latest opinion poll, 85% of them said they're against the semi-autonomous territory becoming part of the United States. Only 6% supported the move, while 9% were undecided. Yet Greenland's political situation, unlike most of its landscape, is not all black and white. According to one expert, Donald Trump's ambitions have awakened discussions around the island's independence from the Kingdom of Denmark.
Greenlanders with increasing self-confidence will turn to Denmark and put suggestions and demands for how to reshuffle the constitutional relation to Denmark so that Greenland perhaps may be formally independent, but still in a very close association with Denmark.
Danish authorities now have a difficult challenge ahead of them: how to navigate their relationship with their biggest NATO ally, the United States, while at the same time keeping some form of influence over Greenland.
I am pleased if the survey is an expression that many Greenlanders would like to see a continued close cooperation with Denmark, probably in a different form than what we know today, because everything changes over time.
According to President Trump, Greenland has a lot of importance when it comes to its location and abundance of natural resources, especially in the face of hybrid threats from Russia and China. But it's not only the United States which sees Greenland's strategic significance. Denmark is part of the European Union, and the bloc is ready to hold its ground.
If the United States feels there is a problem with the European Union, we obviously need to sit down to talk and see how we can jointly solve it. Of course, just as the United States wants to protect its interests, it is up to the EU to defend its own interests.
Sources in the European Union have said the island's future will be the subject of discussion at the upcoming informal summit of EU leaders on Monday. Denmark has also recently announced it will invest an additional €2 billion into Arctic defense as a response to Donald Trump's security ambitions.
And now let's move to some happy and heartwarming news. The first child to be conceived through the Polish government's in vitro fertilization program was born yesterday. The program has brought joy and hope to thousands of couples struggling with infertility. Anastasia Yanchenko has more.
This delightful news has been eagerly awaited and has brought hope to many Polish couples who have long been cherishing the idea of becoming parents. Even the Prime Minister of Poland, Donald Tusk, couldn't contain his joy.
It's a baby. I've been waiting for this kind of message for a long time. It's got me feeling a little like becoming a grandfather for the 6th time. The first baby from our IVF program is here, and it's a girl. We've all been waiting for her.
The government-sponsored IVF program was reintroduced by the Polish Ministry of Health in June 2024, offering many couples struggling with infertility a chance at parenthood.
This is a very helpful program. Early reports from the effort paint a picture of just how enormously helpful it can be and how beneficial it might prove for the demographic situation in Poland, where birth rates have been declining sharply for many years. The country has been seeing fewer and fewer births.
Global infertility statistics seem truly shocking. According to the World Health Organization, the problem of permanent or periodic infertility affects about 60 to 80 million couples worldwide. In Poland, according to the latest data from the Ministry of Health, between 1 and 1.5 million couples are dealing with infertility.
Infertility is becoming an increasing problem. It affects about 1 in 5 couples, and it's growing more and more common. While in the past, couples often faced this problem after the age of 35. Today, it's been affecting younger people, and more young individuals in reproductive age are coming to us for help.
The IVF procedure is very expensive due to its complexity. The average cost is approximately €3,000 and does not guarantee a successful pregnancy.
The procedure is very expensive. I know a woman who spent tens of thousands of euros on IVF. Many patients have told me that they had lost hope of achieving the dream of parenthood because they don't have enough money to continue treatment.
Thanks to funding from the Polish Health Ministry, the IVF program offers free fertility care to couples who face difficulties conceiving on their own, including those undergoing cancer treatment. Poland already had an IVF program in place, but it was scrapped in 2016 by the Conservative Law and Justice government.
This is the first time that this issue has been finally taken seriously as an illness. There is a large group of patients affected by infertility, and they deserve help.
Poland's Minister of Health, Izabela Leszczyna, told media outlets that in the 10 months since the program was reinstated, over 33,000 couples have been approved for IVF treatment, of which 10,000 are now on the verge of experiencing the miracle of parenthood. Though the baby was born slightly premature, according to the Polish government, both mother and newborn baby are doing well.
And now for tonight's interview, Maciej Miko spoke with European Chief Prosecutor Laura Kowalska.
Poland has joined the European Public Prosecutor's Office, a body created to protect the EU's financial interests in December last year. And to talk about the EPPO and its cooperation with Poland, we're joined by the European Chief Prosecutor herself, Laura Kowalska. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we meet in no random place. This is the headquarters of the Polish General Prosecutor General. So how do you rate this cooperation between the EPPO and Poland so far?
Excellent. The cooperation is excellent with all the Polish authorities until this moment. We started to discuss since last year. Last year in January, I had my first contact with the Minister of Justice, Mr. Adam Bodnar. We had the first meeting to discuss how it will be for Poland when they will join EPPO. And during the entire year last year, we had a lot of preparatory meetings. In the meantime, we have appointed 6 European delegated prosecutors that will be based in Poland. The European prosecutor, who is based in Luxembourg, was appointed. So since 2 days ago, we are operational also in Poland.
So everything is in order, everything is working smoothly. Some successes?
Well, after 2 days, it's difficult to speak about the successes here. But I think the most important achievement is that the EPPO zone now, it's enlarged. And I think this is also a big achievement for Poland, because with EPPO, everything will be safer, faster, and more efficient. And I think the Polish citizens will be more protected, because I have been a prosecutor for more than 30 years, and I learned one thing, that the security starts in the street. And nothing is more important than security of the citizens. And what EPPO is doing, one of the main scope of us and one of the main enemies of us is the organized criminal groups. And I learned that there is no clean country, and Poland is not protected from this perspective. And we already saw this in our activity in EPPO, because in the last 3 years in our investigations, we saw connections, for example, with VAT carousel fraud. But behind VAT carousel fraud, all the time, there are very, very serious criminal organized groups involved, very bad people, bad criminals, very violent. So I think this is a good news for the citizens of Poland.
And in comparison with other EU member states, or at least states who participate in the EPPO, how bad is the situation in Poland?
From this perspective, of the financial criminality, there is no clean country. And the situation is worse in all the member states, because for many years, the level of fraud was underestimated. The fight against financial criminality in general was considered a niche criminality, but I can tell you that is the core of criminality, and we discover a continent of crime. Just to give you an example, in only one case, we discovered 5 criminal organized groups who operated in all the member states of the EU. So there is no clean country, no one is protected, and what is most concerning is that behind this, there is all the time either mafia, either criminal organized groups, and they operate everywhere. They are not national anymore. Okay, we can have the VAT national criminality, or I don't know, small company or some small businessmen who do business only in Poland and maybe they do not pay the taxes or they do something small. But when we speak about the VAT carousel fraud, usually this phenomena is cross-border, and there are all the nationalities when we speak about the criminals. So I couldn't say that it's worse in Poland than in Germany or than in other member states or Romania or France or Spain. I think one of the most important thing is how to fight with this. And until now, we saw that it was a kind of, underestimation of this. Why? Because everyone considered that financial criminality, it's a white-collar crime. It's not violent and, well, if you take drugs, you can be killed. But if you commit a VAT fraud, how this affects me? But even financial criminality can have as an effect a death. And I will give you the example, probably it's known. It was a train accident in Greece when a railroad has to be refurbished and modernized with EU funds. This didn't happen, and because the project has not been implemented on time and the money has not been used for that project, we had that car accident and more than 69 young people died. This is an example, and we have to make everyone aware about the gravity of the financial criminality.
Let's talk about numbers. How much is the EU losing because of the organized crime?
According to Europol estimations, when we speak only about VAT frauds, because it's very difficult to give a figure for the entire organized crime activity, the damages that are created are more than 50 billion euros in each year for decades. And what we see in our activity is that in the last period of time, the criminals reshuffled their activity. Those who were used to commit, for example, drug trafficking, consider that this is very risky, and they discover this new type of crimes, VAT fraud or fraud with EU money, for example, in RRF funds. Why? Because it's easier. You need an accountant, you need a good lawyer, and you don't have so many risks. You create some fake company that we call the Trader company, and they work for you in each day, and you have a lot of profit without any risk, because in some member states, they do not give importance to fight with this type of criminality. In some member states, they don't have specialized police officers or prosecutors to fight with this phenomena. And practically, the risks are very low, but the benefits are very high. We have informations in our cases that mafia invested in this kind of company, and they take profit, 10%, for example, in each month. So they make money without doing nothing. Mm-hmm. And this has to stop, and this is why we have EPPO.
Right. Now, the last decade saw a major dispute between Poland or the former Polish government and the EU over the rule of law. How would you assess the current condition of the rule of law in Poland?
Well, my job is to be a prosecutor. We, as EPPO, we have a role when it's about to assess the rule of law. We even have kind of duties in the mechanism of rule of law. If we see that there is a lack of sincere cooperation with EPPO, we can act, we can send a letter to the European Commission. Until now, it was not from this perspective. We didn't have any back signal from Poland. As I said, the cooperation with the national authorities is excellent. And I'm sure that this enlargement of EPPO and the accession of Poland in EPPO will be a success.
How does the EPPO fight against those who try to circumvent or evade sanctions imposed on Russia?
In this moment, we have just a part of the competence because our office can investigate custom frauds or smuggling, contraband. So we have opened few investigations for this type of activities. Indeed, there is a discussion to extend the competence of the EPPO also for all the typologies of circumventions of EU sanctions. And here it's a very important role of the custom in general. I think, as I said at the beginning, that we can be much faster and more efficient because we do not have borders, and this is very important. You don't have to wait months or years to get a response. We have in 24 member states prosecutors on the ground, and we have this helicopter view that gives us the possibility to see the entire chain. Even if you have the best law enforcement in Poland, you will never see the entire circuit, the entire chain. You will see the part that was here because you have borders, not because you don't have professionals. But this is something that EPPO can do. And in this moment, we have opened a few investigations. Some of them are connected to Poland. So I hope in the next period of time, we can investigate more efficient also this kind of crimes.
Talking about efficiency, and that would be my last question. Do you see a need to expand EPPO's competencies in prosecuting corruption crimes across the EU? Because you're a relatively young body, so you learn all the time, I guess. Do you feel like you need more tools to fight the corruption within the EU?
I think the competence that we have now offers us the possibility to investigate corruption when it's related to the frauds with EU money. And I think from our scope, the competence that we have now, it's enough, but has to be more clarified because the way how the member states implemented the directive regulates the crime was implemented differently. So this is why we have asked for an early revision of regulation in order to clarify these things. But when it's about the extension of competence of the EPPO, I think the main topic will be the circumventions of EU sanctions. Because here we see there are a lot of sanctions that have been imposed, but if no one follows them, if we do not have efficiency in this, if we do not hit Russia taking their money, and in this moment, at the European level, the only available tool is the EPPO. And we are able to do it, we have the capacity to do it, we have the right people to do it, and most important, we have the will to do it.
And you already have some successes in the field.
I hope so, soon, and if we want to make these sanctions to hurt, we have to give this competence to the EPPO, and I'm sure that Poland will support this.
European Chief Prosecutor Laura Kövesi was our guest today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching, and stay with us for much more news and comments here on TVP World.
And that concludes this edition of World News Tonight. I'd like to remind you about TVP World's ongoing coverage of the political crisis currently taking place in Serbia. For the latest on that, please stay with us because On the Record with Adam Yasser is coming up next, so please do stay tuned. Goodbye.